Seniors from that particular societies were like placed in very good companies. One of them was in Flipkart, one of them was in Uber, Microsoft. So like you hear these big names and you build expectations according to that. But like the ground reality is ki on-campus placements are kind of luck-based as well. Selection is not guaranteed anywhere. So like the ground reality from the first year to the final year is that ki don't judge the companies कि भाई इसका नाम बड़ा है. I got rejected in the third technical round. My first interview from our CGM. That interview was like the turning point for me. I feel was the biggest mistake that I made, not starting competitive coding earlier. Many students tend to like नहीं लग रही यार, इसमें भी नहीं लग रही, इसमें भी इसका तो OA भी अच्छा गया. ऐसे भी instances थे. There was this company Twilio. मेरा OA उसका मतलब काफी अच्छा गया था. I was really confident that I would receive an interview from that particular company, but list में नाम नहीं था. I enrolled into the Delta course. That particular course, we were building a project named as the Wanderlust. So that project I had mentioned in my resume for the placements.
तो सबसे पहले वैभव, tell us about yourself.
My name is Vaibhav Gupta, and currently I am pursuing my bachelor's in technology from Netaji Subhash University of Technology. My field is computer science and technology. Apart from this, I had completed my 2 months internship at Samsung Research Institute, which is in Bangalore, and like I have also received a PPO from there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
तो सबसे पहले you are from the same college as I.
Yes, ma'am.
तो how is NSIT going?
NSIT is going great. Basically, I am from the East Campus.
East Campus.
East Campus, yes.
Okay.
So like we don't get to enjoy the beautiful campus in Dwarka. However, like since the placements are same, so it's an overall wonderful experience.
That's nice. So tell us about your entire Samsung internship experience. कि internship लेने के लिए how many rounds were there? What were your qualifications at that time? और जितने भी rounds हुए उनके अंदर कितने questions हुए, किस तरीके के सवाल थे, क्या duration था, entire thing.
Got it. So this was an on-campus opportunity. So सबसे पहले like we receive a mail from the TNP of the college. In that basic criteria was of GPA, which was of 7.5, and apart from this there were some eligible branches like CS was allowed and all the other like specializations of CS, IT as well as EC.
What was your CGPA then?
At the time of internships, my CGPA was 8.85.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, and after that there was this online assessment round. There was a shortlist for the online assessment round as well, which was kind of based on CGPA only. After the like in the online assessment, there were 3 questions based on DSA, and we had to solve it in 90 minutes. One of the question was based on tree data structure, and other 2 like I'm not able to recall. I've like
medium level questions.
2 of them were medium. This tree one was hard.
Okay.
So like I managed 2.5 questions in the online assessment. This tree one was partial, and other 2 like I managed to get to them. After the online assessment, around 20 odd students were selected for the interviews. There was a single round of interview, technical interview, and its duration was around 35 to 45 minutes, varied from candidate to candidate. And talking about the interview itself, in the interview I was asked, first of all, there was the introduction of the interviewer as well as mine, followed by the introduction of projects that I had put in my resumes. So like my projects were majorly focused on web development. 3 projects I had mentioned in my resume at that time, and all 3 of them were like full stack projects. And like after the introduction of the projects, it was followed by the DSA question. DSA question was kind of like a medium question. It was based on dynamic programming. Like it is a very popular question in which we have been given a grid, and we have to return all the number of ways starting from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. So it is like very standard question on dynamic programming.
It's like count ways that we have already covered in DP.
Yes, ma'am. So that was the DSA question. It was followed by some CS fundamental questions, which were from OOPS as well as OS. Also, there were some theoretical questions around DSA, like I didn't know at that time what is the difference between stable sort and unstable sort.
Okay.
So that was a question which was asked in the interview, and that was pretty much about the interview for internship. And after that, in the evening, we were told the results, and around 9 students were selected.
Around 9 students were selected. So what was your reaction?
Like basically, it was much awaited, the internship part, because like after the starting of the internship season, like in the very beginning, I received an interview call from RCCM. After that, like whole of the placement season, it started around July, and whole of the my internship, the results were declared on 3rd November.
Okay.
So that whole period, I did not receive a single interview. So that was like much awaited, and also like by that time I was really fed up. Like I will be preparing for placements only. I don't think any more companies are coming for internship.
तो मतलब इतना सारा जब पीरियड जा रहा था, इतने सारे जब
हाँ जी.
मंथ्स जा रहे थे एंड यू वर गेटिंग रिजेक्टेड,
Yes.
did that teach you something? Was there a learning there, or there was no learning? And
Like there was a learning, like it was never give up was the thing that helped me, because many students tend to like नहीं लग रही यार, इसमें भी नहीं लग रही, इसमें भी, इसका तो OA भी अच्छा गया, like ऐसे भी instances थे. There was this company Twilio, मेरा OA उसका मतलब काफी अच्छा गया था, and also like I had a decent CGPA, so I was really confident that I would receive an interview from that particular company, but list में नाम नहीं था. तो it was like that, but like हर कंपनी में अच्छे से अपना बेस्ट दो और अप्लाई करते जाओ, इवेंचुअली कहीं ना कहीं हो जाता है.
डेफिनेटली.
Yes.
अच्छा, फ्रॉम टॉकिंग टू यू आई फील लाइक कि आपके कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स इन इंग्लिश आर गुड.
Yeah.
So was that like from school days, or या फिर did you do something to improve your communication skills in English?
Like I told you that I received my first interview from our CGM. That interview was like the turning point for me as far
That
as
was
interviews.
bad.
I don't know exactly. I managed, like there were 3 technical rounds and 1 HR round in our CGM. So I got rejected in the 3rd technical round.
Okay.
So that was the CGM part. However, it did told me that I need to work upon my communication skills, and especially like DSA आना एक चीज है, समझा पाना is totally another thing. So after that, like me and my friend used to like do mock interviews, and whenever we did DSA questions, we were like तू मुझसे ये question पूछ as an interviewer, और मैं तेरे को मतलब पूरा समझाऊंगा, starting from the brute force, then the optimal solution, and all those were in English. So that helped me.
तो इतने सारे मंथ्स जो हुए तो आरसीजीएम टर्निंग पॉइंट हो गया, एंड यू एक्चुअली डेडिकेटेडली वर्कड ऑन योर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स.
Yes, ma'am.
तो तब तक तो आई थिंक हाँ, इतने सारे मंथ्स के अंदर इट मस्ट हैव इम्प्रूव्ड
Yes,
अ
ma'am.
लॉट. दैट इज रियली गुड. ये एक चीज़ है जो काफ़ी सारे स्टूडेंट्स मिस करते हैं. समटाइम्स पीपल गेट रिजेक्टेड एंड देन दे फील लाइक कि ठीक है चलो कोई नहीं, अप्लाई करते हैं.
Yes,
पर
ma'am.
उस रिजेक्शन से भी आपने लर्निंग लिया एंड उस चीज़ को आपने प्रैक्टिकली अप्लाई किया.
Yes, ma'am. Like even like उसके बाद से ही मेरे को ये चीज पता लगी that your first actual interview for should not be the first interview. At least मतलब 2-3 मॉक्स तो आप देके जाओ, तभी आप मतलब like जो फ्लो है इंटरव्यू का वो बहुत बेटर इंप्रूव हो जाता है उससे.
Definitely.
Yes.
So when you started applying for internships, tell us more about your projects and what kind of a resume did you submit for companies?
So like talking about my resume, I did not had any prior experience working anywhere. It was basically my coding profiles as well as the projects. As far as projects are concerned, I was like they were mainly focused on web development. One project I had which was like the back end of that project was based on blockchain, and the front end was based on React.
Okay.
So like I had heard, and even from the RCGM interview, I like managed to notice it that interviewers are kind of keen towards asking React.js. Like they really look forward to if you have React.js mentioned in your resume. So I had one project regarding that. The other 2 were kind of simpler projects. Like one was a blogging website, which is like kind of a very standard projects which people make, and other was basically a newsletter subscription project in which basically I was using some APIs to create a mailing list, and the users could sign up on that particular project, and they would receive newsletters like on their emails. So these 3 projects I had in my
तो ये
resume.
जो तीनों projects थे, these were all full stack projects. And did
yes,
you
ma'am.
deploy all of them?
No, ma'am. The blockchain one, like for that particular project, we need tokens to deploy that project. So that was kind of paid, so that was not deployed. The other 2 were deployed.
Okay, good. And what other things did you have in your resume?
Apart from this, like I had my coding profiles. Like I at the time of internships, I had solved around 300-350 questions on LeetCode. That was guessed one of the strong points in my resume, and the other was the CGPA.
Okay. Why did you specifically choose LeetCode as the platform to solve DSA questions?
I had seen most of the resumes of seniors as well, so they mainly focused on the LeetCode profile, and also the UI was kind of the most attractive one.
So tell us about your entire journey. What did you learn in your first year? What did you learn in your second year and your third year, like before
Sure.
you got the internship?
So like ours was an online batch, so the college started online. I did not explore coding much in my first year. So in second year, I started like looking forward to how to do DSA, and there were people in my class that had already started competitive coding by that time, and they were achieving ranks in contests and higher ratings, and there were discussions around it. So I was like starting DSA at that time, and in the fourth semester, I started the development part. Because like we knew fifth semester start होते ही companies आ जाएंगी, and we need to prepare a resume. So this was one of the mistakes that I did. Not giving enough time to development was one of my mistakes that I consider. After that, like the fifth semester, it was more or less, practicing for interviews, the mock interview part, as well as the lead code questions, and applying for companies and for appearing for the interviews. For the placement, at least, I should focus more on development because that was kind of my underconfident area. So I started development at that time again. And also, like in Samsung, after talking to a few seniors, I got to know that for the PPO, there's a DSA test that they conduct. So I had to prepare like DSA also parallelly. So in sixth semester, I did both of these things. And in the seventh semester, like it is ongoing. So it was like all of this only DSA and mock interviews largely.
तो सैमसंग के लिए जो पीपीओ टेस्ट हुआ उसके अंदर what kind of questions did they ask?
They are kind of story-based questions only. The question that I had was based on 2D matrix as well as it used map for optimizing it. So basically, the test is like it comes 90% of the times if you are fortunate enough. Many times previous year do repeat in that test. So there are previous year available on the internet, so that is a must do if you are preparing for Samsung or PPO.
What kind of websites did you see this previous year question?
There were mainly like GitHub repositories for these questions, and also like in this particular test, there's a single question, and you get 3 hours to attempt that question, and you need to make sure that you manage to get through each of the test case. Even if a single test case is not passing, that will lead to you not getting a PPO. And at my time, we used to get like 2 attempts for the same.
So what was your internship stipend in Samsung and what kind of PPO did you receive?
So ma'am, talking about the stipend was 50,000 per month. And in Samsung, the internships, at least for my batch, they were work from home. And the last week we had we were in office, and in that particular week only the test is conducted.
Okay. And what is the PPO offer that
the
you received?
PPO offer is like in Samsung there are 2 roles. One is the basic developer role, and the other one is an advanced developer role. So for the advanced developer role, the CTC is 40 LPA, and for the normal developer role, it is 20 LPA. Also, there is a CGPA criteria. Only students which had CGPA above 8.5 were allowed for the advanced developer role. So there was an interview for that, and on the basis of the interview as well as your performance in the internship, then it was decided whether you will be offered a normal developer or an advanced developer.
Which one did you receive?
I received the normal developer.
Do you think in the entire process did you have something special in your resume जिसने आपकी profile को कुछ edge दिया हो, some wow factor in your profile?
Ma'am, like for as far as my resume for internship is concerned, it was kind of most of the resumes were like that only in my college. Like we had coding profiles. The number of questions varied from person to person. However, most of it was like we had coding profiles and web development projects. So at the time of internships, I don't consider like I had anything particular. Like it was more of a mixed bag. Like I had a decent enough GPA and decent enough coding profiles and good projects that were full stack projects. So there was nothing as such to stand out. However, like for the placement, I was skeptical that I need to have something better. So like I had done quite a bit of competitive coding till that time. So my coding profiles were greatly improved from the internship time.
Okay. So when you started sitting for placements,
yes,
what kind of competitive coding profiles did you build by then?
Like ma'am, I was mostly doing code forces. So by the time of placements, I managed to become a specialist on code forces. So that really helped in like upscaling the resume that I had. And apart from that, the projects like I kept the blockchain project. We were building a project named as the Wanderlust. So that project I had mentioned in my resume for the placements.
Okay. Do you think it helped?
Yes, ma'am. Like that was the first full stack project that I was confident about. Like I could answer anything from that project. Prior to that, I was the web development projects was kind of my underconfident part. Like I was not confident about them, and I was a skeptical. Like, पता नहीं क्या पूछ लेगा interviewer.
You have received the additional projects, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you doing them?
Ma'am, I had seen the Zerodha project that we were building. There was also that GitHub project in that I have not done. The Zerodha project I
You've completed the
completed,
Zerodha
yes,
one. I think if you do the Zerodha project, you'll learn more about React because
Yes,
more
ma'am, it
React
was-
concepts are covered
yes,
there.
they're more like
Context API and
I
everything.
chose the Zerodha project because of this only. Like I wanted to build a good project for React, so that is why I went with the Zerodha one first.
So did it help you?
Like getting familiar with React was greatly enhanced by that project. Like before that, like I had prepared like the theory questions that interviewers kind of ask from React, be it the states, hooks. Like, however, their actual implementation was like understanding of actual implementation was greatly enhanced by that project.
Nice. You should also do the other projects. They are also very
Sure,
interesting.
ma'am, I'll complete them.
ठीक है. So let's suppose we चलो tell me this, if we send you back to your first year,
Yes, ma'am.
तो अगर यही सेम प्रोसेस आपको दोबारा रिपीट करना हुआ तो अपनी एंटायर जर्नी के अंदर व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट मिस्टेक्स दैट यू वुड लाइक टू फिक्स?
First of all, I would start competitive coding from my first year. Like the DSE.
From which platform?
Mainly from Code Forces and Code Chef. Even Code Forces alone is, I feel, enough if you are doing it from the first year. So I would start with the competitive coding part, and like this I feel was the biggest mistake that I made, not starting competitive coding earlier, because like the understanding of DSA is, I feel like, greatly enhanced by the competitive coding.
Is it because of the level of questions or is it because of the format of questions?
Ma'am, both of these things play a role in that. Like initial questions in the contest of Code Forces, like the A and the B problems, they are not dependent more on the data structure side of things. However, the logic building part. So that is, I feel, the best part about competitive coding. So the logic building was there, and like when you tend to do the third question on Code Forces, then is when some data structures come into play. However, like the DSA, like we do graphs questions for the interviews. Graphs questions are like the fourth question on Code Forces, and like you don't need in-depth knowledge about DSA. That is why like I would prefer to do it from the first year itself and learn DSA parallel to it, according to the level I'm achieving in like competitive coding. I will learn topics side by side in that. Also, starting from the first year, I will have enough time for development. Like the second year, I can devote to development, and the third year is like mainly focused on these interviews, mock interviews, getting an internship. So that is that part. And if you are lucky enough and you get to manage through a internship soon enough, then you can like explore other development domains or like whatever you find more interesting.
How big of a role do you think college environment, the kind of students that you had in your college, played in your entire journey?
Ma'am, it played a huge role. Like if you have a group of friends who are like interested enough to do different things, and you manage to get around like 2 to 4 friends, that's all. A large group also kind of messes things up. If you have 2-3 friends who are doing like, then you would be pushed towards doing things. So say from second year, I had a group of like 3 friends. We were that we did development together. So there were regularly updates like तूने कितना कर लिया, मैंने इतना कर लिया. So एक मतलब accountability वाली चीज काफी बनी रहती है उसमें.
In fact, I also remember from my NSIT days कि when we joined college in the first year,
Yes, ma'am.
we used to see people sitting in the park with their laptop and
Yes,
coding.
ma'am.
तो first year में जाते ही, if the college has the right environment,
Yes,
आपको
ma'am.
kind of पता चल जाता है कि क्या चल रहा है and आपके बैचमेट्स भी शुरू कर देते हैं तो यू ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ गेट मोटिवेटेड और मे बी गेट पुश टुवर्ड्स
yes
डूइंग इट.
ma'am, definitely.
तो वो आई थिंक एक बेनिफिट होता है जो आपको शुरुआत में रियलाइज नहीं होता,
बाद
बट
में
वो आपको बाद
yes
में
ma'am,
रियलाइज होता है कि हाँ ये था
yes
बेनिफिट.
ma'am. Even ma'am, college seniors like definitely play a huge role in that. Apart from getting like even referrals, if we talk about, or guidance for interviews, or if like someone is selected in a particular company, they will tell you like the most accurate insights that you can get for a particular interview. So though all these things like play a huge role in you landing up an offer.
So what kind of insights did you get from your college seniors?
Like ma'am, for the RCCM part, I had one senior who was placed in RCCM. So he told me that I need to focus on computer fundamentals more. There's about like I told, there are 3 technical interviews. One round was dedicated to computer fundamentals. They asked questions regarding OOPS, OS, DBMS, and only these things were asked for about 40 minutes.
So this was the third technical round.
This was the second technical.
Second one.
Yes, ma'am. The first one consisted of DSA questions. The second one was around the computer fundamentals. The third one, the vice president of our session took that particular round.
Okay.
So he asked questions from computer networks as well. He asked DSA question. Also, there was a puzzle that he asked. So I remember that puzzle. Like it was, we have 2 ends of a bridge, and it is night time, and we are having a torch. And like I don't remember the exact, but it is
Board
a very
say we have to take all the people.
yes, ma'am. And we have to find the most optimal time that we can get through like all the people
और एक
on
time पे
the
you can
side.
only take one person.
One person,
maybe.
yes ma'am. So that question was asked. That question I did wrong in that particular interview. After the interview, like I asked some of my seniors and one of my cousins. So he told me कि नहीं गलत करके आया ये ऐसे होता है. So that was also like a learning that we need to focus on these puzzles as well, as interviews tend to ask them. You never know.
What do you think was the importance of college friends during the entire journey?
Ma'am, they were like really important. Like we used to give mock interviews. Anytime any one of our friends, like if they got an interview, the other friends were like, तू तैयारी कर, तेरे लिए resources हम देख रहे हैं. Interview experiences हम पढ़ के तेरे को ये बता देंगे भाई ये सब करके जाना है.
And proxy लगा देंगे.
Yes ma'am. So those things were like very helpful.
So apart from DSA and apart from development, did companies also ask Quant Aptitude, since a lot of companies do tend to ask them for placements?
Ma'am, in the online assessments rounds, Quant and Aptitude is like very popular. Around 60-70% of the companies tend to ask in the online assessment round. And talking about the interviews, like I haven't heard about exact Quant and Aptitude questions, but these kind of puzzles, they are like very frequently asked from the candidates.
So apart from RCGM, before Samsung, what other companies did you apply for internships?
Ma'am, I applied to a lot of companies, like even Microsoft came, Salesforce came. After that, it was Adobe. There were some banks also, like Wells Fargo came, Twilio came, and like many companies came for internship. But like I managed to get into Samsung.
Okay. And when you've also sat for internship interviews.
Yes,
you've
ma'am.
also sat for placement interviews.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think is the difference in expectations from candidates being interviewed for internships versus candidates being interviewed for placements?
Ma'am, the expectations definitely rise when you are appearing for internships and when you are appearing for placements. Like I had one of my friend who was interviewing for Meesho. So Meesho tends to ask system design and low-level coding as well.
Okay.
In the interviews. So that was something new and which for which students are not generally prepared. So that is the thing that I came to notice for the placement part. And in internships, like it is very rare that you would be asked questions around system design. Some companies may ask, like, but for placements, it is something that you should be prepared for. And apart from that, even the DSA is like kind of the interviewer kind of expects a bit more when you are appearing for placements. Like they will ask more questions from graphs. Also, it varies from companies to companies, but graphs and DP will be thoroughly asked
in placement
interviews.
Okay. So let's suppose if some of your juniors from first year or second year are currently watching you. So what kind of advice would you like to give to them? अगर कोई first year, second year के अंदर.
Like if they are in first year, then definitely do competitive coding. And if you are in second year, then you need to balance both of them, because like you have an year, and from third year starting itself, you get the companies coming for internships. And like I also believe that internship is the best thing that you can get. Like after that, the chances of you receiving a PPO are quite high as compared to you going through the whole process again, like the online assessments and then getting through the interviews. Compared to that, getting a PPO is, I would say, much easier and has much more probability.
Yes.
So in second year, like competitive coding requires a lot of time, so we can like not go into that. Cover the basic like DSA questions that companies tend to ask, around 300 to 400 questions that are more than enough to get you through the interview. And also like develop some good projects so that you have a decent enough resume.
Okay. So tell us more about your Samsung internship experience. What did you do there? How large was the team size? किस तरीके की company है Samsung?
I'm talking about the internship experience at Samsung. So in the Samsung in the Samsung internship, the work that I was assigned was related to ML. And prior to that, like I had never experienced ML before. Like I did knew the very basics, the theory basics, because I had a course in my college. What is supervised learning? What is unsupervised learning? The
But
basic
that is a
definitions.
very theoretical
Very
course.
theoretical stuff. So like I had not coded anything in that particular like ML. So the project was based on ML, and then it started like we had to research papers. In
So it was a
Samsung,
research internship.
research project, like in Samsung. Since it is a research and development center, so the projects are of both kinds. Like there are production projects as well and research projects as well. So mine was a research project. So first of all, you have to go through some research papers, find out an approach, like what you would be implementing, and like if you have to build a model, what are the factors that you would be considering. Then scaling of those factors, like any of the factors should be upweighted or downweighted. And after that, you have to work on the accuracy part of it. And also like if you have to present it to your managers, you need to also add like visualization features in that particular project. So that was this part. Also like in Samsung, we are also provided training for this particular test for the PPO that they conduct. So like we had a proper like kind of classes, you can say,
For DSA.
for DSA, in which like there is some senior developer who like solves the question on lead code and gets you through the like mostly the questions are from graphs in the test. So mostly graphs as well as recursion is what they ask. So some popular questions from that domain is told by them.
Graph and recursion.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the duration of these classes for DSA?
Ma'am, they used to be 2-hour classes, and they were like one-on-one interaction. If you have doubts, you can speak up and ask them.
So weekly 2 hours or every day 2 hours?
Ma'am, it used to happen around 3 classes, and in the last 2 weeks before the week the test had to be conducted, the last 2 weeks we had these classes, and around total of 6 classes were given by the senior developers.
Okay. So what machine learning algorithm did you apply?
Ma'am, I basically build a classifier model. So I used KNN clustering in that, and like the data was it was not labeled earlier. So first I had to label the data. For labeling the data, I used k-means clustering, and then on the labeled data, I had used the KNN classifier to classify the data.
So if it's not too classified, what kind of data were you classifying?
Ma'am, basically it was driving data.
Okay.
It consisted of trip distance, the number of times like overspeeding has been done by the driver, number of sharp turns, and there were 1 or 2 more fields which I don't remember as of now. So the data was related to driving.
So what were you classifying it into?
Basically, I was classifying the nature of the driver. That
safe, unsafe?
Like aggressive behavior that the driver is possessing, or it is like normal, or it is relaxed.
And what was the accuracy at the end?
Ma'am, I managed to receive an accuracy of 83% in that model.
Acha, in the entire process for interviewing for internships as well as placements, what do you think was the most challenging part in the entire journey?
Ma'am, the most challenging part was the online assessment part, because the questions companies tend to ask are like, it varies from company to company. However, they can reach to very high difficulty as well. So that was one of my major concerns behind doing competitive coding.
Acha, one very off topic thing, not very off topic, but very different thing. Did in any of the companies, since you've seen the interviews or you've gone through the online assessments for a lot of big companies,
Yes, ma'am.
did you ever see a question regarding Docker or containerization?
Ma'am, there were very specific roles that some companies had to offer if they were coming for a DevOps role. So they tend to ask these questions, or if they are hiring for a cloud engineer role. So those companies tend to ask questions related to Docker.
So what kind of companies did
Like
you
ma'am,
see these questions in?
recently I heard that Oracle was hiring for a, I don't know whether it is the exact specific role. I guess it was related to some cloud engineer role only. So in that particular online assessment, there were MCQs related to Docker.
That is what I was going to talk about, वैसे.
Okay.
Recently, I also saw the questions of Oracle,
Yes, ma'am.
and they had asked 3 Docker-based
Yes,
questions.
ma'am. Yes.
So I think it's the same test that we are talking about. But
Yes,
I
ma'am.
saw it from a DTU student. You must have saw it for the
Yes, ma'am.
NSIT student. So that is good to know that if you are studying in NSIT, you can ask questions from DTU students and DTU ones can ask from NSIT, because apparently the same questions are
Yes,
being
ma'am.
asked. In fact, हमारे time पे भी the same thing used to happen कि generally पास वाले campuses के अंदर questions repeat होते
Yes,
थे.
ma'am. Like
तो
the
ट्रिपल आईटी, आईआईटी,
IIT,
एनएसआईटी,
yes,
डीटीयू एंड
ma'am.
आईजीडीटीयूडब्ल्यू जनरली सबके questions same होते
Yes,
थे.
ma'am. Definitely.
So that is something good to know for all the Delhi students.
Yes, sir. I feel like DSA is like must for any company that you are appearing. DSA तो करना ही पड़ेगा. But apart from that, specializing in one field definitely helps. Compared to like if I compare myself to those people, I do feel that if you are specializing in one particular field, that is better because like you are most confident in that field. Anything if the interviewer asks from that particular field, you would like knowing A to Z everything about that, and you would be able to answer quite confidently. However, if you are a mixed bag, then there are chances that the question that the interviewer asks, you may not be able to do that. And even the interviewers notice that this is his domain and he is specialized in it, so they do consider that.
So what kind of tips would you give to them if they're sitting for companies?
Ma'am, first of the tip will be to give more and more mock interviews. And if you can manage to get someone that you know either through LinkedIn and someone for a company that you are preparing for or you have an interview for, if a person from that particular company can take your mock interview, that would give you the like best experience prior to the actual interview. That is one of the tip, and people on LinkedIn do tend to help in terms of these if they are like having free time in their schedules. This is one of the tips. Also, like from the LinkedIn only, you can gather a lot more insights about the interview, about the upcoming interview, whichever you are preparing for, like what kind of questions you can expect and going through the interview experience. So these things like do greatly help before an interview.
So you mentioned that you got referrals for a few companies.
Yes, ma'am.
So how many people did you get in touch with before getting a referral?
Ma'am, like the process for getting a referral was like find, for example, if there is an opening in Microsoft, so I will like send connection request on LinkedIn to like 10 to 12 people. Around like 7 to 8 people will accept your request.
Were these random people or were these your college seniors?
Like I prefer more to college seniors because the chances of you getting a reward from there is better as compared to random people. So like I mostly send to my college people. Then after that, like I told, around 7 to 8 people would accept your connection request, and then you have to like message them regarding that there's a job opening and you need a referral. And after you have messaged, like also there are times like when the people see message late, like the job opening has closed by that time. So, but if you are doing to 10 to 12 people, you will manage a referral.
What is your current CGPA?
Ma'am, it is 8.97.
अच्छा, it has improved.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice, good. ठीक है, और कुछ जो आप शेयर करना चाहते हैं अपनी जर्नी से?
Ma'am, it was the experience that I had for the advanced developer role at Samsung. So basically, since the CTC difference was quite a lot, it was like double. So that interview was kind of very much like I was much pressurized about it. However, in the interview itself, the questions were mainly from my internship project. And also, since it was a more research-oriented role, so they tend to more ask, like they asked a question on probability, which was like very new for me. even in interview experiences, I have not heard about like people being asked questions related to probability in their interviews. So that was kind of a like very new experience for me. It went like so, not the best, not the worst. I managed to tell the questions regarding my internship project, but this probability question also, like with the help of the interviewer, I was able to manage through that. However, were some computer fundamental questions which I did wrong in that particular interview.
Okay. So what was your learning?
My learning from that particular interview was that especially the internship project, like I had prepared it in depth. However, there were some things which I could have improved, like the future aspects of your projects. Some interviewers do tend to ask that, and you should be prepared for that. That particular question, I like slightly messed up in that. And also, like it is never that the interviewer is looking for the correct answer, like that probability question, but they do tend to help, but if you are going in the right direction. So like we should be like very thorough with the interviewer, like what we are thinking. We should put it up straight. That part also in that probability question, I kind of like not perform the best.
तो इंटरव्यूज के अंदर इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्रूशल टू एक्सप्लेन योर थॉट प्रोसेस ऑल्सो सो दैट द इंटरव्यूअर कैन हेल्प यू. आई होप कि वैभव की जर्नी से हमें काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें सीखने को मिली. वन थिंग दैट आई वुड लाइक टू मेंशन इज he mentioned the importance of having a specialized profile versus a generic profile. I personally believe if you're targeting software engineering roles, then a profile like Vaibhav is more suited towards those roles because companies tend to ask DSA. They also expect some kind of a development experience from you. So if you have experience for both of those things, that will help you in the long term. इसके साथ में computer science fundamentals and aptitude is something that he prepared for. He has good communication skills that have helped him a lot. So something that really intrigued me regarding his learning journey was that he realized in his RCSM interview कि अब communication skills पे और काम करना पड़ेगा, and that is something that he dedicatedly worked towards improving through mock interviews. तो वो एक चीज़ है जो कई बार students miss out कर जाते हैं, that they don't work towards the learnings that they have taken from a rejection or maybe from some kind of an opportunity. तो वो चीज़ कि कहीं से भी अगर let's suppose rejection भी आ रहा है तो उसे सिर्फ rejection की तरह नहीं देखना, उससे हम कैसे improve कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि ज़रूरी नहीं है जिस opportunity से हम अभी reject हुए हैं वो opportunity was the ceiling, हमें उससे बहुत सारी better opportunities आगे मिलने वाली है. तो that is something that we should focus on learning, focus on exploring more things, and focus on starting early. As he mentioned that अगर first year में he could go back, so he would start with competitive programming, which I believe you're interested towards now.
Yes, ma'am.
So he would start early, he would start with DSA, he would focus more on development, more on advanced development. तो वो सारी चीज़ें I think जितने भी students अभी first second year से अपनी journey start कर रहे हैं, they can start inculcating it in their journey. तो I hope कि ये सारी learnings लेकर इनको हम अपनी placement internship journey के अंदर apply करेंगे. आज के लिए इतना ही, मिलते हैं next video में. Till then keep learning.